I might have find life carrying the banner for it all. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is upcoming Kickstarters for June. Now, this is good or bad news depending on who you are, what you want, because June currently seems fairly light on crowdfunding campaigns. There's not a lot of Kickstarters, not a lot of Gamefounds, at least not a lot with scheduled dates, not from any of the sources that I currently have. We have like 9 campaigns, so currently your wallet is mostly safe. I say mostly safe because there's a few caveats. First of all, maybe you're interested in all 9 of these Kickstarters. Secondly, because of the fact that in addition to the 9 Kickstarters that I have dates for, that I know it's coming up, I'm also going to be going over around 15 or 20 other Kickstarters that are coming up in the very vague soon. Some of these may show up in June, some of these may show up, well, a year from now. I don't really know. We'll see. And speaking of which, for that, a regular reminder that you should go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter if you want the most up-to-date news on all the Kickstarters. Every single week, every single Sunday, he does a video covering all the upcoming Kickstarters. So in case you're wondering, in case you want to see what's changed, which of these 15, 20 campaigns actually turned into upcoming campaigns, Shelf Clutter in general has the most recent updates for all of that stuff. So this is all, hey, here's some Kickstarters that are coming up the next month. But if you want a week-by-week understanding of how things are changing and what's being added, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter. With that, let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to go through the first 9 that are definitely in June. I say definitely with giant air quotes because things change all the time. Again, Shelf Clutter. And then from there, I'll go ahead and make a separation and dive into the rest of them. Starting off the bat with Sunnygeeks 1.5 modular gaming table. Now this, by the way, in general, I will have words. There's words. I will have links to all those things down below so you can check those out as well. But Sunnygeeks modular game table is going to be launching June 1st, I believe. This is going to be another gaming table. Currently we have Geek and Sun has a game table as well over on Gamefound, but the Sunnygeeks is giving their own game table to Gamefound. They're going to, check it out in terms of tons of game table options out there. Just a question of what works for you, which one calls to your interest and or budget. We also have, and this is actually technically we have, I think 2 of the campaigns I'm talking about are actually going to be May 31st titles, but hey, they're upcoming, so I may as well cover them now. We have Runescape Kingdoms, Shadow of Elvog, coming from Steamforged Games. This is going to be launching over on Kickstarter on May 31st. There's actually a full gameplay over on my channel. You can check that out, as well as a whole bunch of gameplays on other channels as well. Tons of content, 12,000 people following. This is RuneScape brought to your, table. It's a bunch of quests. You're going to be making seal tests, leveling up your characters as you go through a variety of the various quests that the game gives you from the video game series. We have Amulet of Thrayax. Amulet of Thrayax is going to be launching, I believe, early June. This one is an area control game with a very interesting theme. You're all competing for the Amulet of Thrayax over here, and there's going to be a degree of weirdness kind of mixed into the area control game. You can go and check out the website. They have more information, not a lot of information on the actual gameplay, but some thematic aspects of how the game plays. Area control, 2 to 6 players, Amulet of Thrayax. We have Space Lane Trader, the board game. This is a pick up and deliver game in the worst possible way, or best possible way, I guess depends on what you're looking at. But this is a heavy pick up and deliver, tons of marketplaces as you wander around and as you trade goods in what is reasonably called Space Lane Trader. You're going to be moving goods from place to place, trading in the various economies, buy and sell resources, and there's just a tad of piracy mixed in, so it's not all about the marketplaces. Then we have Amygdala from Game Brewer. Amygdala from Game Brewer. Amygdala is going to be launching in 16 days, or by the time you watch this, I guess 14 days left. We're going to have, not 14 days left, 14 days to go over on Gamefound. Make sure to follow to get a free gift over here. This is another Game Brewer campaign. They seem to have moved a lot of their campaigns over to Gamefound, so that might be a recurring thing we see. But this is coming to you from the same people who brought you as well, from Kramer and Kisling. This is an abstract game in which you're going to be vying for the various emotions of the human body in some way, shape, or form. Don't know the mechanics of it. Honestly, art doesn't really pull me in. This coming from the same people who did Azul, this just does not pull me in visually speaking, but I am curious to see how it actually plays out. I mean, the designers have a reputation, Game Brewer has a reputation, so the only thing that's left now is for the game to actually, I don't know, just the art style. It just seems like I like rainbows, but this is a little too vague. But either way, that's a personal choice over there. That's going to be Amygdala. Then we have Clash of Galliformes. Yes, that is a person riding a giant chicken, in case you're wondering. Clash of Galliformes is going to have people riding giant birds. You live in a world in which the avian species have evolved the same way that humans have. So humans and avians are both dominant species on the planets, and that means you're going to be riding the avians, which I guess means you're dominant, but you're more teammates than dominant. You're working together in this basically this RTS style game, resource strategy, resource management strategy, all that RTS game in which you're going to be riding giant chickens around the board. That's kind of it. June 15th, Clash of Galliformes. Then we have Tsuro Deluxe. Now, I don't have a date for this one right now. I know that this was scheduled to launch in May, as you can see over here, and it got pushed off, so I don't have exactly a date. I believe it's pushed off to mid-June sometime. But Tsuro Deluxe is basically a really, really expensive version of Tsuro. That's what it is. It's a really, really expensive version of Tsuro. In case you like Tsuro, in case you're interested in Tsuro, in case you're someone who wants a $300 deluxe over-the-top metal pieces, gorgeous box, all those kinds of things, I am very curious to see how this one does. Whenever you have those games, you have a Small World Deluxe and Catan Deluxe and all these other deluxe games, I'm always intrigued which ones really have an audience. And so Tsuro, a $15, $20 game, now has a $300 version coming over to Kickstarter sometime in June. And then we have Bretwalda. Bretwalda from Phalanx Games coming on Gamefound. This is going to be mid-June over here. Bretwalda is an area control game, 1 to 4 players, kingdom diplomacy, coercion, conquest as you claim the kingdom of Bretwalda. Going to be area control over here, lots of stuff happening. I don't have more on that yet, but conquering the realms and mobilize an invisible army, get the treasures, build an empire, and write your own chronicle. Become Bretwalda. That's actually not a bad sequence over there. That sequence, what they just said over there, that's going to be the stuff you're looking at over there for Bretwalda. And then we have Mind Clash and Septima. This is going to be again launching mid-June. We have Septima from Mind Clash Games. This is the one that is behind me on the shelf over here. The only game box I've ever put on my shelf that I've gotten like a million comments in it. It wasn't intended. I just store games I'm covering at some point over there, and this one got a lot of attention. There's clearly some demand for Septima from Mind Clash Games. We'll have some coverage in it. Don't worry. This is not that coverage. This is talking about Septima. Septima is going to be a game which you're going to be working with the Septima, the witch covens over here, as you gather various herbs, as you try to make sure to convince the village folks so you don't get convicted. Whole bunch of witch stuff and gathering stuff and action selection and matching your actions to other characters in the game for the optimal moves, but you might raise suspicion because people are wondering. A bunch of mechanisms as you'd expect from a Mind Clash game in Septima, as you go across 4 rounds of play, choosing your actions one at a time, trying to match or not match as you may want, as you move up the right track on the side. Whole bunch of things happening here. I'm trying to like semi-cover the game in like 30 seconds, which, as you can imagine, doesn't work as well as you think it would. And that's basically everything. I think, no, we have Silvercoin. We have Silvercoin, Age of the Monster Hunters. This is currently scheduled for June. I don't know if it will or won't launch in June. We'll see. I know this was pushed off a few times, but Silvercoin, Age of the Monster Hunters, is being a monster hunter in the world of Etosha and battle the monsters plaguing the land to earn a bag of silver coins. If that sounds vaguely like The Witcher, you're not wrong. This is a vaguely like The Witcher style gameplay. Or game, I should say, not gameplay, in which you're going to be leveling up your characters, wandering the land, taking down monsters in a non-cooperative game. 1 hour per player, 1 to 5 players, lots of stuff happening here. This is an ambitious game. Check it out over on, well, Kickstarter, but sometime in June, probably. And with that, we have my now what image as we move on to the other campaigns. So, basically, here's the story. Not the Dory. Dory is lost. Dory never really got found. But these are all the campaigns I have. That's like, what, 12 campaigns? 12 campaigns is basically everything I have dates for as of right now. Like I said at the beginning, there's not a lot with currently scheduled dates. I've exhausted all the stuff I have official set dates for. Now, the next 15, 20 campaigns I'm going to go over a lot more quickly. The last few were pretty quick as it was, so I guess a lot more quickly is relative. But we're going to go over them fairly quickly, diving into all of them in a very high-level overview of what they are, because I don't know when they're coming. Some of these may show up next week. Some of these may show up mid-June. Some of these may show up in a year and a half. These are all things that are happening in the vague future sometime soon. I do expect many of these. I would say half of these are likely going to show up in June. Which half, I don't really know, and I could be wrong even on that half. So let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off the bat with Aeon's End, Past and Future. Aeon's End, Past and Future. This is coming from Indie Boards and Cards. This is going to be the newest expansion for Aeon's End, launching sometime soon. Don't know exactly when. Like I said already, even though they did have the other offshoot game. What's it called again? I can't remember. The other offshoot from Aeon's End. Someone's going to write in the comments before I remember, whatever it is. They have the offshoot game. They have Aeon's End, Past and Future. They're continuing to expand the original Aeon's End. What was it called? It's going to bother me. Anyways, we have Oceans, Legends of the Deep. This is an expansion for Oceans from North Star Games. This title, I mean, this picture over here doesn't look much like anything you expect, but North Star Games, they have a game called Oceans. Oceans was kind of a continuation of Evolution and all that, and Legends of the Deep is going to be an expansion for Oceans, coming sometime soon. That's all the information I currently have on Oceans. We have Sea of Legends, Vengeance of the Empire. This is one that's been teased for a bit. This is going to be the expansion to Seas of Legends, coming vaguely soon-ish at some point in some way. We'll see. But yeah, the expansion for Sea of Legends, a game that has both a lot of praise and a slow, bad rollout because the app was not ready when the game arrived and it was messy. But overall, people seem to like it from those who've had a chance to try it properly. We have Pioneer Rails from Dronda Games. Dronda Games who brought you that Solar Sphere game. This is going to be a roll and write game. It seems like it's going to be a 1 to 4 player roll and write game. 1 to 4? 1 to 100 players, not 1 to 4. 100 players, flip and write game with using poker cards to extend your railroad tracks. Don't know much about it. Love the cover art. That's all I know so far. Curious to see what Dronda Games brings next. I believe they have a few games up their sleeves coming our way, so we'll see. We have Quodd Heroes. This is one that I've been teasing for who knows how long. Quodd Heroes has been, well, teased for a while now. For going on a year plus, it's been coming soon. I remember when I was expecting it in March of 2021, but supposedly it's coming really, really, really soon, according to the Kickstarter page, like imminently soon. All these pictures and things should tell you that it's definitely totally coming soon. I feel like Charlie Brown and the football over here. Every time I bring up Quodd Heroes, it does not launch. Maybe this month it'll finally launch. We'll see. I'm excited for it. I like the game. We have Spectre the board game coming from Modifius Entertainment. Spectre the board game. The Modifius just brought us the other game, the Elder Scrolls game. They just brought us the Elder Scrolls game. Now they're bringing Spectre the board game. I'll admit I have zero interest in this because I don't really care about. I mean, I care about James Bond a little bit. Like I enjoy the videos, but that's as far as it extends. I don't really care enough to look into this. But then again, maybe they'll hook me. It happens. There's a lot of games I'm not interested in at all, and then Kickstarter happens and things happen. We have Thorngate Tower, which is not coming. It's coming to you from B1 Games. It's another example of the pandemic having a continuing effect on the board game industry. This is a game which was going to launch, and then they kind of pushed it off and said, hey, you know what? Until shipping stuff clears, we can't take an initial step into the board game sphere with a game like this just yet. So instead, what they're doing is they're going to be doing, where'd it go? Instead, they're doing Thorngate Dungeon. Thorngate Dungeon is going to be a print-and-play Euro game for 1 to 100 players. Very intrigued by that. Print-and-play Euro game. Intrigued. Don't know much about it, but I am interested. We'll see. But this is what they're doing in the meantime to kind of maintain the company's existence and flow, but with a game that will lead eventually to Thorngate Tower one day, hopefully. We have Umbrella Academy, the board game from Mantic Games. This was one that already launched. I believe it launched on Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're coming over to Gamefound. So this is actually an interesting reverse migration. Usually we used to see the migration from Gamefound to Kickstarter, but now we're seeing a Kickstarter from a campaign that failed, or not failed, canceled over on Kickstarter, and they're bringing this to Gamefound. We have 111 people following it. I'm curious to see what changes they've made to the game, what additions, what they've done. I'm just curious to see what they've done. But this is Umbrella Academy, the game, and we'll see what happens next. We have Amun-Re from Alley Cat Games. This is another example of a Rainier Knizia game getting the Vincent Detroit treatment, which makes it very compelling. When we just saw Raw over on Gamefound, I assume this will be on Kickstarter, but I don't know for sure. I believe Alley Cat is still stuck to Kickstarter for the moment, but this is the 20th anniversary edition of Amun-Re from Rainier Knizia with the Vincent Detroit art. It looks like it would fit very nicely color-wise on the shelf right next to Raw, although not box size-wise, so you're still kind of in trouble there. But yeah, this game's been around for a long time. Plenty of stuff you can check out, or you can just wait and get it on Kickstarter. We have Drop Beers from Platypus Industries. These are the same people who brought you the Ratcatcher. Drop Beers is going to be a game based on the actual Australian drop bears that drop on tourists and murder them and kill them. It's a real worldwide problem that we all need to be aware of and we should do something about, and you can do something about it in this 1 to 4 player game when it eventually launches on Kickstarter. We have From the Moon from La Botte de Jeu. Don't know much about this at all. In fact, I know nothing about this, but I know La Botte de Jeu. There's a lot of solid titles. I mean, they did It's a Wonderful World, and tell me that cover does not look cool. I know nothing about the game, but Miguel Coimbra, Johannes Scopi, I can't pronounce his names, I apologize. Kickstarter in May, June at some point. Very, very curious about this one. The cover is, I mean, listen, you should not judge a book by its cover. You shouldn't. That's not true. You should judge a book by its cover, but you should not let it be the only thing you judge it by. I am judging the book by its cover. I'll see more when it launches, but I mean, listen, we'll see. We'll see. We have Dungeon Universalis New Challenges, Expansion and Reprint. This is just on Kickstarter, but they're doing some new stuff over here already. This is going to be launching on Kickstarter soon. The vague soon, as usual. We have Tarverns Dragons. This is going to be a Gamefound to Kickstarter migration. Very curious to see this one. Lord Raccoon Games, they did that piratey one. Don't remember the name of it, but they did a pirate-themed sea game that I can't recall the name of it. But they did Tarverns and Dragons over on Gamefound. It kind of funded, but just barely. It's a solid game. I enjoy my time with it. I'm curious to see how it does over on Kickstarter. I hope this one does well, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Tarverns and Dragons. Then we have Dealers in Hope. This is coming to you from Ape Games, or APE Games. I assume it's Ape Games, don't actually know. They have an ape in their graphics, so it better be Ape Games. But yeah, Dealers in Hope. Don't know much about this. They have a lot of games on their belt, a lot of compelling stuff. This is going to be a deck building game, which, I mean, the art looks fun, looks cool. We'll see. Special ability, 1 on each of your turns. You may discard a number of cards and then draw that many cards. Okay, not overly compelled by that, but if I go this way, if I go to this card over here, if you're in a battle over water, gain +2 and 1. Those things seem good. I like deck building. Don't know much more about it. We'll see what happens in there. We have Among Cultists coming to you from Good O Games. This is going to be a social deduction game inspired by Among Us, which already has me intrigued. A 4-day player game, which means it wouldn't see that much table time at my table these days. Generally, anything over 4 is just less and less frequent. It happens, but it's not that frequent, and then you're competing for spots with games I already love. But this is not about me, this is about you. We have Among Cultists coming over on Kickstarter at some point, 2,000 following already. We have, what is this? This is going to be the Hunter's AD. So the Hunter's AD is a game that I need to play it or cover it at some point. I don't know when it'll happen. It's not high on my priority list. But the Hunter's AD 2114, this one is a Kickstarter that already had a few iterations, a reprint, all that stuff. And they're taking the same system and applying a medieval theme to it. Don't know much about it. I'm getting strong Kingdoms Forlorn art style vibes from this picture, but I'm compelled. Listen, I mean, honestly, I should play the game at some point anyway, and I think I'd prefer this medieval thing as a theme. So if I like the game, maybe it's time to get rid of that one and start saving up for this one. We'll see. I don't know what'll happen. We'll find out. Anyways, we have the Queen's Dilemma. This one's going to be launching sometime in June, likely 3,000 people following. The follower to the King's Dilemma from Horrible Guild should be coming soon. We'll see. Don't know. We'll see what happens, when it happens. I think June. All these things are just so vague. And then lastly, we have Cyberpunk 2077. No, not the card game you see here. Command already announced that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be their next Kickstarter following Marvel Zombies. And so this is the card game that was originally announced way back when, but they totally changed it up by now. Don't expect any of this at all whatsoever. Cyberpunk 2077, they're going to be coming to Kickstarter soon-ish. Based on their usual track record, I'm expecting it to be June. I don't know for sure at all. If I knew for sure and I wasn't allowed to tell you, I just wouldn't say anything at all. I don't know. I don't know when this is coming. I just have to assume it'll be June of 2022, just based on when Marvel Zombies was. Either that or July, but I'd put good money down that it's June. No inside information here. I'm just guessing. But yeah, either way, that is the situation. Those are all the games, all the campaigns. Even with all those, still a fairly short video. It's amazing what you can do when you don't go into detail on any of these. I'll have links to all these things down below. And as always, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And I hope you have a good one.